What do you do next when you've made the decision to go all in on a life that's bigger and better than you're currently living, but the money doesn't follow? Hi, welcome to another episode of Business Mindset Mastery. My name's Heather Gray. I'm a mindset and performance coach for business owners, leaders, entrepreneurs. You can always find me over at choosetohaveitall.com. And today's listener question is a shared experience, I think. What happens when you decide to go big? You go all in on a new life. You have this idea that you can take your skill sets that you're using in a 9-to-5 and go use them for yourself, so that your time is your own, your money is your own, but then it doesn't quite work out that way, and the money doesn't follow. What do you do next? Here's today's listener question. Heather, 11 months ago, I was an executive personal assistant to a VP of a major corporation. It was such a big job that I had 2 junior assistants assisting me on a full-time basis. My work phone ran my life. My work schedule robbed me of time with my family. His life came before mine, always. I decided nearly a year ago that my kids mattered, that they weren't going to be young forever. I knew my office managerial skills could help small business owners, so I just took accumulated unused time off and quit my job with the idea that I would freelance. I'd considered offering small business owners consultations on how to streamline their systems. I was introduced to the idea of being an online business manager, something I'd never heard of, and saw myself doing that. After nearly 12 months, I am making a quarter of what I used to make on my corporate salary. Yes, I have more time with my kids, but now I'm stressed. It's spring break and they want to go to trampoline parks, rock climbing gyms, and the movies. Because of me, we can't afford that anymore, and now I'm looking for work again. I finally have a vacation week with my kids, and I'm job hunting. It's killing me. In every interview, I have to address what looks like a year of unemployment on my resume. I'm consumed with regret, remorse, and a lack of faith in myself or of my decisions. I have no idea how to get out from under the gray cloud I put myself under. I thought of you as I was exiting another interview. We don't know each other, but I feel like I know you from listening to your show, and I had this odd feeling that if you could see me, you'd just shake your head at all of this. I feel like such a disappointment. Wondering what words you might have of comfort, but also what direction you think I need to head to next. I want fulfilling work and time to enjoy my family. I have to believe it's possible, but how? Oh my goodness, take a deep breath, take a deep breath. You are not a disappointment. You're just feeling disappointed. You took a leap of faith. With the best of intentions, you had a plan for a better life, to be a more present mom, and it hasn't worked out the way you thought it would. I like the decision to try to replace the income. I like the decision to get out from the money monkey that's carrying, that's probably on your back, that you're carrying with you throughout every single day. It is my belief that when we make business decisions with a money monkey on our back, we don't make the best business decisions. So I applaud your courage in looking at the numbers and making the decision to go back to work. There's nothing here in your story that I'm shaking my head at. There's no judgment here. This came up actually over the weekend on Facebook, this idea that somehow it's believed in the entrepreneurial space that we sort of shake our heads at people who work in the 9-to-5 world. And I just think that's nonsense, because I was really happy working for corporate for a while. There were jobs that I had that I was completely obsessed with, and that filled my life and made me really, really happy. All I want for people is to make choices that make them really, really happy too. And if owning a business isn't one of those things, I don't want people to do it just for some medal that they can wear proudly and bravely, because owning a business is hard work. And that's what's missing a little bit here from your story. There are so many more questions I have for you than answers in this email. But the first question I have for you is, did you do this? Did you make this change and make this choice to leave the really burdensome corporate job because you wanted to be a business owner, because you wanted to be your own boss? Or did you see it as a way out from what you were currently doing? Because that's what it sounds like happened. It sounds like you just couldn't handle the influx of the phone ringing and the never-ending inbox and all of the pressure and the 24/7 availability you were expected to have, and you wanted to get out from under it. So you just made this decision that you could help other business owners streamline their systems. You could freelance, you could consult. Then you learn about online business management and you think you can do that. In the letter, I didn't read anything that said that this is the thing you really wanted. What I really heard is you got crystal clear on what you didn't want. You didn't want to be tied to the phone anymore. You didn't want to miss out on your kids. You didn't want to have someone else's life become like the leading deciding factor of your own life. And those are really good reasons to make a change. They're just not the best reasons to start a business, because starting a business really has to be your dream. So often when I chase the tales back to people whose businesses are not making money, who don't feel as successful as they could be, so many of those tales lead back to people who built businesses just because they thought it was the answer to get them out from whatever was making them unhappy, not because they were really building something they absolutely positively wanted. So before we go further, before you worry about me judging you, ask yourself, did you really want to be a boss? Did you really want to own a business? Or were you just looking for more time freedom? Because if you failed here, but the failure is because you chose a path in a direction that didn't align with who you really were and what you really wanted for your life, we're going to find a lot of the reasons why it didn't work. Because people can make full-time income being consultants and freelancers and taking side jobs and helping people one-on-one with a variety of services, but that doesn't make them a business owner. So I think part of what's missing from your story here is, did you get crystal clear on what you wanted? If you decided you just wanted to be able to make some money to make up some of your salary, and you just assumed the skill set you were doing in your previous work would set you up for massive success, you might have just gone about it wrong. Because one of the things, and I learned this from my personal experience when I first moved online, and this is why I'm bringing it up to you, is if you just assume that your corporate identity would open you doors and get you those freelancing and consultancy jobs because you were going to be able to say, hey, I worked for XYZ company for X number of years, and now I would like to help your business do the same thing. That might be the reason why you're seeing more goose eggs than you would like. Because when I entered the online space, I was so busy trying to prove myself that I told anybody who would listen that I was a licensed mental health therapist, that I had a master's degree in clinical social work, that I was 20 years post-master's, that I led with every single credential, every single, sort of job I had, that I was a program manager that had to, supervise 30 some odd people, because I thought that's what people would want to hear in order to know I was good enough and valid enough to be hired. I don't know how you put yourself out there, and I could absolutely just be creating a story that you leaned on your corporate identity, but my experience with new business owners who are sitting in your pile of crap right now is that's most commonly a mistake people make, that they forget that they can't lean on who they used to be and what they used to do to make new sales. It feels like that is the thing, that people need to know you have a degree. People need to know you have all this experience. People just need to know you. So, because people buy from people. So when you look at what's working and when you look at what isn't. I want you to look at what are the steps you actually took to build a business, to build side income, to make up for some of the income. Again, I don't know what your goal is here, so I don't know what you were shooting for, but I can tell you that a lot of business owners skip steps. They don't do all the things in the order that they need to do, and they certainly don't lead with sales because we get distracted. We're told that we need the shiny, sassy websites. We're told that we need a social media presence, and then we're told we need to start blogging. What I'm really curious about is, have you ever tried to market your skills and skill sets and talents as if it's 1999? Getting crystal clear on the type of business owner you really do want to help, that you're interested in helping, and have you offered yourself as somebody who's available to help them with those things? Or did you spend some time on the wrong things? There's a lot missing from your letter, and one of the things missing here is the action steps you've taken, the things you tried that worked, the things you tried that didn't work, and why you're at the place where your income isn't matching corporate. Because that's really important information in order for me to help you decide what's next. If you never wanted to own your own business and you just wanted to make some side income to make up some of your salary, the steps and the direction I'm going to give you are way different than if you decided really clearly that you wanted to be a business owner yourself, that you wanted to stop working for someone else and you wanted to start building a brand and a product and a set of services based on your particular skill set. Those two things are very different. And yes, what I would like you to do is consider changing the story from I am a disappointment to I'm disappointed. I tried my best. I put myself out there. There were things I needed to know, but I didn't. There were things I could have tried, but I got scared. I'd really like it if you did a gut check. If you really looked at and you used your corporate organizational skills and spreadsheet this sucker out and look at what worked, what didn't, what did you honestly try? What did you give time to? What sort of interventions or strategies or business building tools did you try but you never had buy-in into? So many people build businesses based on bullshit because they're doing things that other people told them to do but never actually worked for them. I want you to be really honest about the steps you actually took, not the steps you thought about taking, not the steps you talked about taking, the steps you actually took. And then I want you to look at the results of the steps that you took. What worked? What didn't? And now that you look at that assessment, now that you see all of those things and you see the missteps, the questions that went unanswered, the things you didn't know, now that you know everything that's missing from the story, is this still something you want? Because if you were just trying to solve a money question, part of the reason why this didn't work is you didn't want it badly enough. You didn't care enough about the products and the services and the thing you were creating. Because if you wanted it badly enough, then you would have believed in it and taken different action steps. The other piece that happens is when we don't have buy-in to the thing that we're doing, or when we don't know the steps we're supposed to be taking, or we don't know what to do next, we do a little bit of everything and we don't get anything accomplished. So you might write a blog post, you might get on social media, you might make a phone call, you might reach out to a couple of cold leads, you might follow up with a couple of warm leads. But if you don't have a strategy behind it and you don't have a plan, you're just all over the place. And then when you end up all over the place, it feels very frenetic. It feels very disorganized. It makes you feel out of sorts. You start to create a story that you don't know what you're doing, and then you start to act like you don't know what you're doing. So if you do a self-assessment of this and you realize you really did want it, you were crystal clear that this is something you wanted to do, then we just need to figure out what strategy you tried that didn't work. But if you're kind of in this assessment realizing maybe you never really wanted it in the first place, you need to go back and do that part over again. What is it that you do want? What is your dream life and business combination? What does work-life freedom mean to you? When do you want to work? When don't you want to work? What kind of work do you want to be doing? And what do you want this to look like? If you haven't taken the steps to get that sorted for yourself and get crystal clear on yourself, that's the other reason why you're going to find it hasn't been working and you haven't gotten in sales, because it's really hard to meet goals when you don't know the direction you're heading. And again, I am making so many stories up in this letter because it's missing some pieces for me to answer in more depth. But one of the things we have to figure out is, what is it that you wanted to have happen? What did you try to do to make it happen? What worked? What didn't? And what do we need to do to get you on your way? It's going to start with a self-assessment and then do the business assessment. And this is going to take time. Personal development, mapping out the next stages of our life and businesses always takes time. So give yourself that time. And while you're doing it, yes, pick a job that will give you some breathing room, that gets the money monkey off your back. If you could find some seasonal summer work, if you could find a side job, if you could just, reach out to a couple of people that you can freelance with and do a couple of, task-based businesses while you get yourself focused and organized, then you can decide what's next. I don't think it's time to pack it in and just go back to full-time working for someone else, unless income-wise your family can't afford for you to do anything but that. But if there is room to play and work with and do a self-examination process, please don't let your disappointment change the ending to the story needlessly, because you can go back and you can redo the steps, you can retrace your path, you can figure out where you were supposed to go right and you should have taken a left. You can figure it out and you can start again. Your struggle here is not an uncommon one. It is a shared one. So many people start their businesses, their new dreams, and their new paths lacking a sense of direction. They get some direction and they follow it. Other times they get direction and they don't follow it because the steps sound super scary. And sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. And we can do that assessment process for you, but first we have to get really clear on what it is you want. I know that the common answer in a lot of the entrepreneurial space sort of speakers and the thought leaders here is to not give up, to keep pressing through. I think there's a middle ground here between pressing through and giving up. I think you can get yourself some breathing room with the money. I think you can take some time getting a real clear personal assessment on what it is you actually want and what your dream life and business looks like. Then you can start to sort yourself out with the strategy pieces of what worked, what did you need to do differently, what do you need to go back and redo. This is a process. We got to get you breathing again. We got to get you less stressed. So yes, let's take care of the money monkey. Then let's figure out what it is you want and figure out where you want to go next. And then we can help you get the steps to going there. I hope that this helps. I hope you listen to this and you hear that there's no judgment here. We have all messed up. We've all taken left turns when we should have gone right. We've all dared greatly and fall flat on our faces, but we have to learn from it. And I really encourage you to be willing to look this one in the eyes, to see what worked and what didn't and what you can do differently next time. It is too soon to pack it all in, but yes, go and get yourself some breathing room and then decide what you would like to have happen next. Thanks so much for reaching out to me. I know it's hard to tell strangers that you're trying your best and your best isn't working. So I'm glad you trusted me with this. And I hope you know that listeners share your experience and that they're right there with you, rooting it on, helping you, wishing the best for you too. Thanks so much for writing to me today. If you have a question or you want my 2 cents on your problem, you can always find me over at heather@choosetohaveitall.com. And if you're with this listener and you're in this shared struggle and you would like information I have on a 12-week course I'm building with Jess Lorimer, a leading sales and and business strategist. You also want to find me over at heather@choosetohaveitall.com. We're diving into small business owner businesses. We're looking at what's working. We're finding the holes of what's not working. We're plugging them up and teaching you the simple sales strategies that you need to get where you're going. She's going to have your back with the business strategy. I'm going to have your back with mindset. It is a 12-week course because it takes at least 12 weeks to build a solid business foundation, and that's what we want for you. If you'd like information on what we're cooking up there, find me over at heather@choosetohaveitall.com for that as well. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Bye for now.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.